Hello, all, and welcome to this evening's beer reviews. Friday evening. I have done nothing productive all day because of gone to a playing war games as usual, and I got into a war with the Zulus. And war with the Zulus is always time consuming because what they make up in what they lack in technical prowess, they make up for in sheer numbers. So yeah, it was like some World War One kind of thing going on right over there with some heavy trench warfare. Anyways, what are we reviewing? Well, so I went to a new bottle shop. So last night I reviewed Rye on Rye, and tonight I am reviewing Rodenbach Classic. This is, of course, the famous Flanders Red Ale. You know, so let's go and read the label now, shall we? Rodenbach Classic is the original Belgian sour ale. It is a refreshing blend of young and mature beer, fermented and aged for 2 years in our standing oak casks, aka foeders. Or foeders? I don't know how you pronounce that in Flemish. A brewing method dating to the Middle Ages. A perfect balance of caramelized roasted malt and tart fruit notes with a subtle oak undertones and a refreshingly crisp yet lingering finish, all a result of maturing in our oak casks. Fantastic with food and friends. This is 5.0 ABV, 1.9 fluid ounces, established 1821. And I think this is like my first time drinking like a standard Flanders red ale. I've had, the style before, but it was always made by someone else. So it's now time to go and see what the, benchmark for it should be. And y'all know me, I love my sour beers. So yeah, this is from Bottle Works, a new bottle shop in Kailua, which is does more wines than anything else, followed by liquors. But apparently, oh, this is fizzing up quite quickly. So a quickly receding, fizzy, sort of reddish beige head. A cloudy, sort of red tinged amber. And let's go and get the head before it completely dissipates, shall we? Oh my. So yeah, cherries, got oak, but doesn't smell like, other barrel aged thing. The oak smells a little bit brighter. In retrospect, I should have put this in the tulip. Yeah, there are some darker notes. Like, you know, kind of like sour cherries and dried cherries at the same time. Some funk, but it's like a different funk than anything else I've. It's not like other farmhouse style funks. And it also has a mineral edge to it too, but without that like chalkiness that I associate with kettle sours. some light cola-like notes as well. So let's see here, kind of oakwood, cherries, both in like kind of dried and candied form. Not really candied, I should say, like, um, brined cherries? I don't know. Sweet and sour at the same time. And a caramelized note as well, though without any char to it. Okay, onto the palate now, shall we? Huh. Not as tart as I was expecting, and with a much thicker mouthfeel than I am expecting. The mouthfeel in the finish is like a mixture of yeasty, though I know it's not pure yeast, it's lactobacilli, um, malty. Yeast is more in the top note. Mm, there's a lot going on here. So the mouthfeel is like really, really thick. And I'm not sure what's giving it that thickness, but at the same time, it's cut by a sort of tannic note that emerges in the mids. So it kind of thins out midway, but up front it is kind of almost chewy feeling. Top notes of like rhubarb, as well as that cherries that I described in the nose. A coppery note emerges in the mids, very briefly. There's this very odd alternating sense of tartness and sweetness on the palate at the same time. So I can tell that this is very tannic, very tart, but at the same time is balanced with quite a bit of residual sugar. So it kind of alternates in between those two poles. Yeah. Huh. Now, the one downside about this is that the flavors are not super distinct. There's a sort of gradient there in between the various notes. So I don't know. It's kind of difficult to describe. Cranberries, cherries, but also woody at the same time. Then in the top note, you definitely get a sense of the yeast and um, guess can say, for lack of a better word, the malting in the top note and the long finish. Now, what's interesting about this is how balanced it is from all different aspects. You got your tartness there, but doesn't go all the way into pucker, pucker land. Or you got residual malts and sugars there, but it definitely lends a thickness to the body as well as complexity to the flavor. But it is not cloying; it clears pretty quickly. You have wood, but it's not overly, you know, it doesn't have too much char to it. It's not like somebody went and threw in, you know, burnt wood into there. That quite the opposite. The wood tastes kind of bright, actually. You got the funkiness of fermentation. You got the yeast is there, but it's not slapping you upside the head. It's, you know, you kind of sense it. And I keep on using yeast, even though I know it's lactobacilli. That's part of the process. Flanders red ales are really complicated, so you know the fermenting agent. I should just say, I guess. Mm. As it warms up, almost like port wine notes are starting to emerge. No, not so much port wine. Maybe kind of evocative, a little bit of tawny ports, as well as like, um, you know, evocative. It's it's not quite like tawny port. It's not quite like Madeira, but it's definitely got like that sort of cooked taste to it almost, or aged taste to it, or caramelized taste to it. It's evolving as it warms in the ways that I have difficulty, describing in words, but it is definitely changing. Yeah, I have to say this is quite a nice beer. If you like barrel age, it's got aspects of barrel aged beers. Um, if you like sours, it's got aspects of sours. If you like Belgians, it's got that sort of yeasty funkiness of Belgians. Um, and all of it in a fairly manageable ABV. You don't have to worry about like waking up with a headache if you have a couple of these. Now I see why this one is well talked about. I'm going to say that if you're not into sours, this is like the one to try because the tartness isn't off the, it's not off the charts. It has a whole lot of other interesting kind of flavor notes. And kind of compare it to like other Flanders Reds that I've had, this one has no, well, other than like the sort of port and Madeira like notes, it doesn't have like a lot of the red wine kind of notes I've noticed in other Flanders Reds. Um, it doesn't have a bright fruitiness. There's definitely brightness there, but that brightness is, for lack of better words, kind of like by the wood. It's the wood doesn't taste charred. But I guess I'm kind of repeating myself a good deal right now. So I'm going to go and say that this is definitely one to go and check in on, particularly if you are not into sours, because it is not very one, it's not very sour, and two, it's not very characteristic of a lot of sours. Yes, there's tartness there, but it is just one part of a larger whole. It's not the main. It's not the main note there. It's playing along nicely with other elements. So, Rodenbach Classic. Definitely go and visit it. And that, folks, is your beer review for this evening. Cheers.